Please rise for invocation by Pastor Tom Nelson of First United Methodist Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. God, as we celebrate National Teachers Day, may we learn from all the teachers in our lives to put our own actions in working with others that we might all grow. May the Port Orange City Council lead us to a bright future with their deliberations and decisions, and may all residents benefit because of their efforts on behalf of their people. May wisdom and care prevail always. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will the clerk call the roll?
Councilman Foley,
Thank you, Pastor.
Councilman Grubbs,
Here.
Councilman Bastian,
Here.
Vice Mayor Stiltner,
Here.
Mayor Burnett.
Here. All are present. We have a full quorum, and we're ready to conduct business with that. Recognition and proclamations. Item 4 is the Port Orange University graduation certificates. Wayne, you want to have our PIO come up first and foremost and have him explain what Port Orange University is for those who are watching at home and watching in the audience?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Mike Springer, Public Information Officer for the City of Port Orange. So we have just wrapped up our Port Orange University. This is our Citizens Academy. We do this every year. It's been going on for about 6 years now. It's a 9-week course, and it allows kind of residents to get the answers to a lot of questions they have. You know, if there are questions about reclaimed water, how does that work? How does our stormwater system work or canals? So this is a really in-depth class where they get to kind of spend one night every week for 9 weeks with each different department, learn about the intricacies of that department, kind of get a better understanding of how the city works and operates. So behind me, we have our class that graduated here for 2024, about 20 students or so that just finished their last class this past Monday.
Great. Excellent. So we're going to recognize them. I'm sure we have a stack somewhere of...
We do.
Okay. Why don't we do that right now? Council, if you join me below, let's start our handshake line. I tell you what we put them through, the ARGers and the grueling classes, the many hours, the homework you had to do, the final exam you had to take, and then having to climb that 75-foot fire truck ladder. I mean, well, you only had to go halfway to get credit. We're on a budget. We had to shrink it a little bit. I tell you what, I am ever so grateful for all of you for each and everything that you've done, and you deserve this recognition publicly. Council, if you join me below, let's do this.
And we'll call you up one by one, just in alphabetical order if you want to line up.
And then hang up here afterwards because you know we're going to want a picture.
So we'll start first with Bobby Ball.
I say hang up here. You know we want a picture.
Carl Cole.
So he was that one in the class for you guys, I see. Thank you.
Tom Feinkin. Heather Chavez. Dave Bonifor. Dave Bonifor. Jason Hall. Mary Halsey. Dave Hampton. Glad you enjoyed it. Jeanette Hastings. Lance Green. Beth McNamara. Angie Pallett. Sandy Reese. Mary Rhodes. Carol Reimart. Mona Human. Mayor, Council, that's your Port Orange University class of 2024.
Mike, I know you want a picture.
Sure.
I know you do. You gotta have a picture of this. How do you want to do this?
Since they're all already here, let's have you guys kind of scoot in a little bit more. We'll have you guys scoot in just a little bit more. So, Drew, Scott. Yeah. And Tracy, if you get a little bit.
No more graduation. There we go. Now he's good.
Thanks, guys.
And of course, item 5, it is Professional Municipal Clerks Week. So that is something that falls near and dear to the heart of a couple people here, including the note taker right down below. And I am going to read this proclamation, and then Tracy and Robin, I'd like to present this to both of you. Proclamation, the 55th Annual Municipal Clerks Week. Whereas the Office of the Municipal Clerk, a time-honored and vital part of our local government, exists throughout the world, and whereas the Office of the Municipal Clerk provides the professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and the agencies of government at other levels. And whereas municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. And whereas municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the Office of Professional Municipal Clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of the state, county, and international professional organizations. And whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the Office of the Professional Municipal Clerk. So therefore, I, Donald Doburnett, Mayor of the City of Port Orange, proclaim the week of May 5th through May 11th as Municipal Clerks Week, and further extend the appreciation to our municipal clerk, Assistant City Manager Robin Fenwick, and Deputy Clerk Tracy Cody, and to all our municipal clerks and their staffs for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. And with my signature and a seal of the city, it is so declared on this day and in this place. Please join me up there so that Mr. Springer can take yet one more picture. And the irony of this is not lost on me that these two ladies helped produce these proclamations. I know you've held it at least once before.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I believe that.
And we are on a roll. We actually have 3 of these this week to do. Now it is National Travel and Tourism Week, and I'm going to present this to Debbie Meals. If you'd come up front and center, I'm going to go ahead and read the proclamation, and then I'm probably going to have to read it again Thursday morning, aren't I?
You are, for sure.
So this is just a warm-up
warm-up.
warm-up for your event Thursday morning. I'm looking
That's
forward to
right.
that. I will get to see all of the mayors of the Southeast Volusia at that event, and I've already talked to a couple of them, and they're looking forward to it as much
Good.
as I am.
Excellent.
Whereas travel has a positive effect on Florida and the nation's economic prosperity and our image abroad. It impacts business productivity and individual travelers' well-beings. And whereas travel to and within the U.S. provides significant economic benefits for the nation, generating more than $2.8 trillion in economic output in 2023, with nearly 2.3 billion estimated travelers. And whereas travel is among the largest private sector employers in the United States, supporting 15 million jobs in 2023, including 8 million directly in the travel industry and 7 million in other industries. And whereas traveler spending directly generated tax revenues of $89 billion for state and local governments across the country, funds used to support essential services and programs. And whereas visitors contributed $509 million in economic impact in Southeast Volusia in 2023. $509 million just in this area alone. That's incredible.
It is.
Visitors also paid over $20.3 million in state and local sales taxes in Southeast Volusia in 2023, taxes that we didn't have to come up with. And travel is a pillar of economic growth, creating 5,660 jobs in Southeast Volusia and welcoming visitors from near and afar, has always been and always will be enduring ethos of the travel industry. So therefore, I, Donald O. Burnett, Mayor of the City of Port Orange, proclaim May 19th to 25th of 2024 as National Travel and Tourism Week in the City of Port Orange, and I urge all our citizens to join me in this special observance with the appropriate events. And of course, with my signature and the seal of the city, it is declared on this day and in this place.
Thank you.
And I gotta do this before my caffeine high runs out. You wanna hold on and back me up there? There you go. Now I don't have to worry about forgetting that way. We'll see you then. On to the business of the evening, public comments on consent agenda items. Would anyone here care to comment on anything that's on the consent agenda? There being none, I need a motion for the approval for the agenda for the evening.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion, proper second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The agenda for the evening is approved. I need a motion to approve consent agenda items 9 through 14.
Move to approve consent agenda items 9 through 14.
We have a motion and a proper second. Do we have a second? Okay, now we have a proper second. For items 9 through 14 on consent, call the roll, please.
Councilman Foley,
Yes.
Councilman Grubbs,
Yes.
Councilman Bastian,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stiltner.
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, 5-0, the consent agenda is approved. And with that, I would like to thank Mayor Lois Paritsky from the city of Ponce Inlet for coming and being a visitor here tonight and making sure that we took care of the agreement as we've consented to do.
Very appreciative. Thank you very
You bet.
much, Mayor.
One thing that we're really blessed with is that we have neighboring cities that we work well with and work very well with. And the relationships we have with our neighboring cities, whether it be Ponce Inlet or the Shores or South Daytona or New Smyrna, have never been better. And it has a lot to do with not just us, it has a lot to do with the leadership in those cities as well. If it's a two-way street. It can't work unless the leadership in both sides work together. And we're very fortunate that the relationships with all those cities are as good as they are today. It benefits all our taxpayers in all our cities when we can work together. Public participation, do we have any cards? All right. Cassie Rhodes.
Evening, everyone. My name's Cassie Rhodes, and I'm a board member with the Port Orange South Daytona Chamber of Commerce. On behalf of the Board of Directors, I would like to thank you all for your continued support and commitment to enriching the community for the residents, business owners, and employees alike. We do have some upcoming events that I'd like to share, and I would like to invite everyone to attend. All events are listed on our website. However, to highlight a few, we do have the ribbon cutting coming up this week, Thursday, May 9th, for Hawks Mill Luxury Apartment Living here on Clyde Morris. We also have a Lifestyle and Wellness Expo Wednesday, May 15th at Sunshine Park Plaza in South Daytona. Additionally, we're also putting on a job fair May 16th from 4 to 7 for high school students and the general public, which is being held at the Rec. And we also have our ever-growing Coffee and Connections, the final Thursday of the month at Copperline in the Pavilion. On behalf of the Chamber, I'd like to thank you again for allowing me to not only share the upcoming events, but also our gratitude and appreciation in serving this community alongside of you.
Appreciate you being here.
Thanks, Cassie.
Thank you. And who's this stranger? Chris Cunningham? Never seen her before.
Chris Cunningham, 150 Sweet Gum Lane. So I'm here just to thank everybody for a response to a Facebook issue that came about because of the parking situation under the Dunlawton Bridge. And it became quite ugly on Facebook, and I really wanted to see what was going on and help people understand if it was right or wrong. I didn't know the answer, so I reached out to the city. I went to Parks and Recreation and took it from there, and they were quite generous in their time to go down there and check it out with me and try and understand what the problem is. So after I reached out to Parks and Recreation, Councilman Foley, who helped me go through more of the channels to find out what actually happened and why people were so angry about a place that they weren't allowed to park under there, and finding out it has to do with parking. It's the whole thing is the parking, and people need to park where they are allowed to park. And when I visited it, it was filled with massive amount of parking areas. There is not a lack of parking. And so that small area that has mangroves and it's very close to the water, it dips down, is not a place to park anyway. So I just want people to be fair to the police department. I want people to be fair to the council. I want people to understand in Port Orange we just don't do things for the wrong reason. If there's a reason, all you have to do is ask, and everybody will help you. So I wanted to thank everybody, Parks and Rec, Councilman Foley, city manager, police department, for helping me work my way through asking everybody, why does this exist and is there a reason? And there is an absolute reason, and that small amount of area where you shouldn't park, please just don't park there. You have plenty of space to park. Thank you.
Let's take care of those mangroves. Thanks, Chris.
I am taking care of it.
That's right. And we got Tasha Fulco.
Love it.
Hello, my name is Tasha Fulco. This is my first time doing this, so I'm a little bit nervous.
No reason.
We don't bite.
No.
May I ask a question? Has anybody ever heard of the Academy of Information Technology and Robotics, otherwise known as AIDER, at Spruce Creek High School? Yep,
Yeah.
okay, wonderful. So my son, Elijah Fulco, and our friends Bryce Moeller, along with his mom Kathy Moeller, are here because there are some plan changes coming up for next school year for AIDER. So just to give kind of like a brief summary, AIDER runs as a school within a school, meaning all 7 class periods are within the academy. They actually are based off of the FIRST Robotics model of a 6-week build season. So one of their main focuses is doing 6 challenges per year. These challenges, they basically work on real world problem-based projects that cover every facet of curriculum. So AIDER's a wonderful program. Reducing it to only 3 periods of the day really would take away the whole essence of the academy. I understand that you here are not the decision makers, so we are going through the proper channels, contacting, school board superintendent, plan
Good.
to, be at the school board meeting next week. So here, I guess I'm just asking if anybody in the city of Port Orange would advocate for us, because the city of Port Orange, is a stakeholder in our education. Let's see, I have a few notes, sorry, just because I'm a little nervous. Port Orange schools, I feel like, are the gem of our community. I've been almost a lifelong resident of Port Orange, with moving away and back a few times. But ultimately, when we decided to choose, a home to buy, we chose in Port Orange so we could be in that good school district. So the AIDER students, I feel like they're our future workforce. I feel like this is an issue that really can affect the city of Port Orange in general. It's not just like a student and parent issue. I feel like this academy is wonderful for our city. I feel that if the academy was promoted better, which that's something that we'll talk about with the school board, we could really generate a lot of interest. The reasoning for reducing the academy is a low enrollment, but again, we don't feel like it's been promoted well, so we would love to try to change that and go in like solutions oriented, and we would love any support from the city. So thank you very much. We appreciate you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is that all of them? Okay. Carolyn didn't fill out a card. See me afterwards. I got your email. We'll talk. With that, that brings us to council comments. Why don't we start with Tracy this week?
Thank you, sir. So, dealing with the click it and fix it, I've had a few phone calls over the week since our last meeting, and it's making sure that people understand that even though you go on to Port Orange's website and you type in what an initiative problem may be, click it and fix it is putting it in the queue. They take it down after that. That doesn't mean instantaneous fix. I know we'd love that to happen, but it's in the queue of where they're going to come out and inspect whatever the problem may be. The one that we're talking about currently is dealing with sidewalks, and it seems like a never-ending battle, but we are behind the 8 ball. We have finally, those that haven't been watched into these meetings, is knowing that before August last year we had 1 contractor, we have 3 contractors now. Before August last year we had 600 linear feet done. We're over 10,000 linear feet done. So the initiative for sidewalks repairs and everything is a high priority. They're moving as fast as they can, to the point of where in the agenda on the last bullet point on number 14 in the resolutions is dealing that we added another $150,000 to the budget to the city because we literally ran out of $300,000 on sidewalks. So understand we're adding money to the budget to keep the contracts pavings going. It's not that we're in a stalemate. It is literally we're having to get the funding there, and they found the funding to be able to present that to keep it going forward. So for staff, thank you again. It seems like every time I come up here, I'm thanking you guys, and it's because you do a phenomenal job. You found money. I like that. Instead of having to find money from the citizens, it's already come from the citizens, and you guys are finding leftovers from old projects. And that's where this is coming from. We're not going back out and asking money from the citizens. This is from leftovers from old projects. $150,000 is a lot of funding. So hopefully we can keep that going and we can push along. The last piece that I have is in the month of May is Bike Month. Everybody talks about green initiatives, and how we can safely travel around, and what the national standard is Bike Month for the month of May. We have a flyer that we have in the back that is actually on Friday, May 17th, which is not this Friday, but next. City of Port Orange is going to pair up with a couple of different vendors here from the Cycle Hub that are citizens and businesses in Port Orange. And we're going to do a ride to work day starting at Riverwalk and continuing down through the rec center, which I think is a key component to everything that we stand for, of having fun and being healthy, and riding to City Hall. So if you're available, 8 a.m., all riders, doesn't matter what age, if you got a good bike, come on out, and we're going to ride from Riverwalk to the city center at 8 a.m., leaving that area. I would also like to put in with that is understanding we have a bond initiative that's coming up tonight that's going to be talked about, and the importance of the Parks and Recreation to the city of Port Orange. These type of things that are nationally done goes along with these events. Parks initiatives and the way we live our lives in the city of Port Orange is just absolutely incredible. That we have all these field events and things for our children and our adults. So when that comes up tonight for the reading, understand that all this is tied together. There's nothing hidden. It's all out in the open. We want to be able to have and better our field sports, our parks, and expand upon what is already over the county's highest rating as far as all the other cities every time we talk about it, is how can we even make it better? And that's one of the shining stars of City of Port Orange. So I think it's one of the things that we can really capitalize on as we go forward.
And I look forward to having that conversation later this evening. Reed, what you got for us this week?
Just one thing, Mayor. I want to address something we passed on consent. Item, I had the letter, but not the number in front of me. Sorry, guys. I think it was 10D or was it 11G? Either way, it was the PBA contract, which we were able to pass. That process, going through impasse was a lot. And I know it was a lot on them, and it was a lot on us. I know that we learned a lot of things. But the reason that I want to take a minute to highlight it off the consent agenda is because by them agreeing to it, even though I know it wasn't exactly what the other side wanted, they didn't hold up any of the benefits to benefit all of our officers. And I really appreciate that. And I look forward again, I said this at that meeting, I'm going to say it again here, I look forward to getting right back to the table and working together to move in a direction that we unify on. But I really appreciate them that the process went the way it did, that they did ratify it, and that we were able to give those retirement benefits across the board to all of our officers. And I want to make sure that I say that publicly, and I am ready to go back to the table.
Amen. That all you got?
And that's it.
All right. Drew, what you got?
Well, the two things they're already hit on, so I agree with them, and I'll just yield to him, and we're good.
Excellent comments this week.
Yeah.
Scott, what you got this week?
Just a couple brief comments. Friday night I attended the Port Orange Get Fit finale and dinner and an awards program over at the city rec facility. I just want to thank our Parks and Rec staff for putting on a great program. It was a packed house over at the rec. They had a very nice event over there, and everybody really seemed to enjoy that program. Very unique program. Whenever you see that come out, I encourage people to sign up. One of the things, other than a structured schedule to exercise, but you really get to see a lot of our parks and rec facilities in a light that maybe most people don't see, and you get to meet some other people in the community. So very well attended, great job by the Parks and Rec program. They always do phenomenal with that one. Also, while I was over there, I got to see the new gym floor. Fascinating. I mean, it looks gorgeous. It's beautiful, and that is only the second actual floor in the history of the gym. The original
May it last
floor,
40 years also.
May it last 40 years. by trying to keep maintaining it and keep refinishing it and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, it looks spectacular. If you get a chance, go by and check it out. Hopefully it'll last us another 40 years.
And Scott, if you're going to mention that, I think it's appropriate we thank Advent Health, because they pitched in to sponsor that, to help put that new floor in
Yeah,
place.
awesome.
And they deserve some of the credit for
Sure,
that.
absolutely. Just on a side note of being over at the rec facility, it was a Friday afternoon at about 6 o'clock, and I can just tell you, it was really cool just to walk in, and there wasn't any aspect of that entire facility that wasn't being utilized. There were kids playing basketball, there were folks in the gaming room, and there were kids in the front playground area, and I mean every aspect of the facility was being utilized, which was pretty cool to see. So a lot of time, effort, and taxpayer dollars invested into that, and it's great to see what it's doing for the community. I just want to echo the congratulations to all the Port Orange University folks tonight, and just plug that program. Mike, do you know when the next program, when people can start signing up for the next one?
It's open, so if they go on the website right now, on the
Okay.
tab, they can fill out a form.
Yeah, so anybody that's listening, and I challenge all of you folks, and I've said this in the past, encourage 2 or 3 people to do what you did. I think, I've never heard anybody ever go through that program and at the end be able to say, I didn't learn anything new, or I didn't realize something about the city or whatever. And I think everybody feels that way when they go through it. And it's an incredible program that gives you a very unique inside look to municipal government in the city of Port Orange. And so I hope you'll do that. Congratulations. I thank you very much for doing that, because you guys now become part of a group who helps advocate and help educate people in the community when they think they know how the soup is made, and they don't really know, right? So you guys are now part of a unique family, and we appreciate you guys taking the time out of your schedules and away from your families and businesses to go through that program. So thank you very much. And lastly, I just want to echo the mention of the job fair for next Thursday night. One of the things that is unique about this particular event, it will be held here at the rec on Thursday night from 4 to 7. This was born out of an idea and initiative to try. There's a lot of career expos and career fairs, but they're not always hiring on site. This is a hiring fair. There will be employers there that are looking to put people to work. So it was born out of an idea and a vision. We have a lot of graduating seniors from the local high schools. Not everybody is planning to go off to college, and a lot of them are looking for jobs right now. So if you know folks like that in the community, strongly encourage them. But it's not just for graduating seniors, other high school students that are looking for part-time jobs. And then after, I think it's at 5:30 or 6, the main doors open for everybody who wants to come out there. So I hope that's a successful event. I'm looking forward to seeing how maybe that can be built upon year after year. But if you know people out there that might be looking for an employment opportunity, I think that's going to be a great event to send them to and refer them to.
Good?
All you.
All right, appreciate it. A couple things I wanted to mention. First of all, for those of you who have heard about the Water Goat, it is in place down on in Riverfront Park, and you can see it. There's a sign there. You can check it out. I am very, very glad to see that we've got that done, and really the grand scheme of things, major benefit for not a lot of costs. So check that out, and if there's anything that we can do to help promote it and raise awareness of it, so that we can, and as we monitor it and see its progress and see where else we can use it and utilize it, that would be greatly appreciated. So I appreciate all the people who've been involved, including those on our Environmental Advisory Board that were fighting to get that to happen. And it has, it's in place, and it's working. And it will definitely defend our waterways. The other thing I want to do, this is kind of a personal thing for me. I've been involved in the Law and Government Academy Advisory Board for the last dozen years. I had 2 boys that graduated from there, and they've been out of there for 5 years. I'm still involved. Last week they had their annual banquet for the Academy, and they asked me to be their keynote speaker, and it was such an honor, because seeing the seniors that are coming out of that Academy, several of them, you've got 2 of them that are going to military academies, some of them that have already committed to military service. You have some that have received their certification from the county that, for communications, they can go to work in dispatch. We're desperately short of good dispatchers in this county, and frankly, it's not a widely known thing. The problem, we're actually using contract labor to cover our shortages from out of state. But those kids are coming out of the academy. We've got a couple of them that are going to go into firefighter school. Some of them will be police officers, and quite a number of them are going to college. But what a great thing to see that, and I know it's not just this particular academy, but the seniors that are coming out of our high schools are committed to making the difference in our community, and they will. We hear a lot of things about what's wrong with the youth today. Not these kids. And I need them because one day we will all be retired and we need them to make the world go round. It was great to see them, and talking to two young women that are about to go to a military academy. And they know they're representing us when they do that. It was just very reassuring, and it was an honor, and it was very humbling to see and hear all their stories. And I just want to congratulate them and all of our seniors, because in about 3.5 weeks, they'll all be walking. So let's get ready for all the 2024 graduate signs that are going to show up in people's yards, and give them their due. They've worked very hard in high school and throughout their academic careers, and I know it's, for some of them it's an end, it's also the beginning of something else, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. It's a great time and a fantastic time in our community. We're going to celebrate all those kids. With that, board appointees, interviews, and reports, Environmental Advisory Board reports. Who could that be?
Greetings again. Yes, we've been very busy this
And who are you?
spring. I'm Chris Cunningham with the Environmental Advisory Board Chairperson. Thank you for reminding me. So starting, because we haven't reported since January, starting with the water goat, it has been installed. We took classes on how it is cleaned out. So we are all ready to share the volunteer aspects of it with different organizations. Right now, unfortunately, we're in a bit of a drought, and the river's been low, so it's sitting there being well taken care of, but when that water comes rushing in, it's going to catch that trash, which is exactly what it's there to do. If nobody is familiar with the area, it's down at Riverwalk, but it's over by the chamber, and it's over the little bridge between the chamber and going over to where the kayaks are. So just big sign, beautiful sign, showing you exactly what it does. And so go visit it and read our little signs that go with it, don't feed the goat. Also, this Saturday, thank you to Reed Foley, that we're going to be planting our native garden. And it's already, the city has already dug out. We've been, it's already cordoned off, and we have volunteers coming Saturday morning at 8 o'clock, and we are going to be planting our native plants in a horseshoe. So that you're looking out over the river when we get the benches in. We will be looking for people to sponsor benches as well. And so that's very exciting. There are a lot of organizations that have been asked to come help, so we hope everybody will show up. We had our spring festival at Riverwalk, and we gave away 182 trees. That's a lot of trees. We doubled since last year. So that was people pulling up, getting their trees, and also reporting on the trees that they had gotten for free last year as well. People love to come by and tell us how their trees are doing. And next year we're hoping to do fruit bushes so that, first of all, to support gardening, and also have people that, not everybody can have a tree, but most people can have a bush. And so we're helping other people get familiar with taking care of some growth around their homes that doesn't have to be a tree. And speaking of trees, we all know we are the tree city, and we're going to put our signs back up. So most people know we're a tree city. However, the signs have not been up for a very long time. And so the signs have been ordered, and they will be in and they will be put up hopefully by the end of May on city property. Okay, so the main roads on city property. And finally, on our agenda, we addressed mitigation of historic tree removal without a permit on Ridgewood. So that is a situation that is in negotiation right now, and that will be brought before the council in July. And so that's a lot for a volunteer organization that only meets 6 times a year to get done, and we just have an awesome team. So do you all have any questions?
Any questions for
Great.
Christine?
I don't, but that's.
No?
No, when you said you were busy though.
I don't think you need any more
Man,
assignments.
We
so.
were busy, yeah, but it takes a team, so thank you all for your support.
Congratulations on your new job working for Habitat for Humanity.
Yes, that is, what an exciting program that is. I mean, almost everyone has heard of it, but when you actually get into how the process works and the people that you're influencing and the people you're guiding through the process, and I think the biggest impact is how generous people are to the program. The numbers are just incredibly large, and unfortunately these days you don't have $50,000, $100,000 houses anymore. You know, and property is very expensive, so you're working against. But the volunteers, wow, they come out 5 days a week, every single week to build houses. It is just amazing. So thank you for everybody who supports that as well.
You
Thank
bet. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
With that, the public hearing portion of our meeting is now open. That brings us to, I should say that item 17 will be incorporated with item 20 for efficiency's sake. So item 18 is the second reading of ordinance number 2024-06. Ordinance 2024-06 is an ordinance of the City of Port Orange, Volusia County, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 70, Traffic, to add an article regulating the use of golf carts within the City of Port Orange, for providing for general enforcement, providing for repeal of conflicting ordinances, providing for codification, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Move to approve ordinance number 2024-06.
I'll second.
We have a motion, proper second. The item is open on the floor for discussion. Second reading. Council comments or questions?
Yeah, I'll get a comment, Mayor. I voted no on this the first time because I wasn't understanding the sidewalk portion of it. I had concerns with that. I actually spoke to Lance Green a little bit about it. Also did my own research and drove out there, and now that I understand it more, I'll be switching my vote in support of this. But originally, as I was understanding, it was going to be all the sidewalks through the entire neighborhood. And my concerns, of course, kids, strollers. You know, as the father of a newborn, obviously, I'm a little more protective now than probably I was 3, 4, 5 months ago. But nevertheless, I'm going to be supporting this now because I understand which sidewalk they're talking about, and I have no issue with it at all.
Okay. Anyone else? Would anyone here care to speak to the item? There being none, back to us. Council, final comments or questions? There being none, call the roll.
Councilman Foley?
Yes.
Councilman Grubbs?
No.
Councilman Bastian?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stiltner?
Yes.
Mayor Burnett?
Yes. Item passes 4-1. That brings us to item 20, first reading of ordinance number 2024-05. Ordinance number 2024-05 is an ordinance of the City of Port Orange, Volusia County, Florida, amending the City of Port Orange Code of Ordinances, Chapter 14, Article 2, Section 14-27, to modify the maintenance code as further provided herein with general and technical amendments, deletions, and revisions, providing for protection of copyright, providing for repeal of conflicting ordinances, providing for codification, providing for scrivener's errors, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Move to approve ordinance number 2024-05.
Second.
We have a motion and proper second. The item is open on the floor for discussion. Wayne, who do we have presenting on this one?
Amanda Bonin, our Code Enforcement Manager, will present this one.
Good evening, everyone. Amanda Bowden, Code Enforcement Manager for City of Port Orange. So in 2010, the city originally adopted the International Property Maintenance Code, the IPMC. It's a national standard of reference for rules covering maintenance of existing buildings and properties, and it's updated every 3 years. The IPMC includes both residential and commercial structures and properties, includes but not limited to exterior and interior property area maintenance for safety, structural members, rodents, sanitation, pool safety, overall appearance of buildings and properties, such as peeling paint, leaky roofs and windows, and heat requirements. The majority of the proposed revisions are related to updating our code to reflect the 2024 IPMC modifications, while complying with the local laws and maintaining the existing character of Port Orange as it relates to building and property maintenance requirements, such as who can perform inspections. The Florida statute requires code officers to actually observe the violations for themselves. The lien process against the property, record retention as it pertains to Florida statute, and the hearing appeals process. All other modifications were minor items such as consolidating, reorganizing, or removing repetitive and outdated codes and correcting any scrivener's errors. Staff recommends approval of ordinance 2024-05 to update the city's code and to adopt necessary modifications to the standard IPMC. I'm happy to answer any questions any of you may have.
Council, what have you got? Questions, concerns? Any?
No.
Can't make it this easy on it.
Amanda says
Yes,
it's a
you
good
can.
idea.
Feels pretty ceremonial at this point.
We'll see what happens when our Parks and Rec director gets up here in a minute or two. With that, anyone from the public care to comment on the item? Back to us. Like I said, first reading. Now is the time to take the bite at the apple. Any other comments or questions? There being none, call the roll.
Thank you.
Councilman Foley?
Yes.
Councilman Grubbs?
Yes.
Councilman Bastian?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stiltner?
Yes.
Mayor Burnett?
Yes, 5-0. First reading, second reading will be coming up in a few weeks. That brings us to the close of the public hearing portion of the meeting and brings us to regular agenda item number 20. First reading of ordinance number 2024-07. Here we go. Ordinance number 2024-07 is an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Port Orange, Florida, authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds to the City of Port Orange, Florida, in the aggregate amount not to exceed $30 million for the purpose of financing the design, construction, renovation, expansion, and improvement of public parks and recreation facilities and related infrastructure located in the City of Port Orange, subject to approval at a referendum herein called, providing for and calling a bond election of the qualified electors residing in the city to be held on August 20th of 2024 on the questions of the issuance of such general obligation bonds, providing for severability, providing for repealing clause, providing for an effective date.
Move to approve ordinance number 2024-07.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a proper second. The item is open on the floor for discussion. Wayne, who do you have presenting for us?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Susan Valla, Parks and Recreation Director. Before we get started with the presentation, there's a few people I just want to thank for their efforts up front to this point, working on this bond initiative. Our consultants who are in the room tonight, GAI Consulting, Consensus Communication, Zev Cohen and Associates, our Parks Board, our city staff in the Finance and GIS departments, and of course Peter and Teresa from my departments. So they've been working really hard on this, so excuse me. So tonight you have the first reading. If that passes, we'll go to the second reading on the 21st. And if that passes, we'll have a website available for our residents for informational purposes and facts. The site will include the what, why, and how much. And I'm sure that's the questions you get. What is it? Why are we doing it? And how much is it going to cost me? So the 2024 Parks Bond referendum will be on the ballot on August 20th. We will ask registered voters to vote on the general obligation bond to fund capital improvements to existing parks and build new parks. The efforts will include preserving our past, securing our future needs, as well as improving the needs of today. The projects we will go over at a high level will be conceptual. The department will also look for community input as we go forward. If this passes and we start designing these projects, we definitely will look into our community in the neighborhoods that these are in and get their input on what they would like to see in their parks. Some projects will solve our need for more field space and serve our current and future residents, like Karasi Park, and some will preserve our history, like the Depot Park. Rec West will fill the future needs of our current and future residents on the west side of the city. while a project like White Place will revitalize one of the oldest parks in Port Orange, and it will be something new for the next generation. Willow Run will fill current field space needs as well as allow for new field sports not already offered. And finally, trail enhancements will provide residents with alternative ways to navigate the city. Sounds good, right? But how much is it going to cost me? So the website that we will unveil after the second reading will have a quick reference chart like this if you just want to do a general look at it to see what it will cost you. But again, if you want to be more specific, we will have a calculator. And this calculator will be linked to our property appraiser's website. You will be able to go in, find your home, click on your address, figure out your taxable income, come back to the website, punch in that city taxable income, the city taxable, put that in, and it will give you exactly what it's going to cost you in your home. And that will be real-time data. Again, on August 20th, the voters will see this language. This is the bond language that you'll see on the ballot. A yes vote is for the bond, a no vote is against the bond. And this will be, the website is poparksbondfacts.com. This is a little splash page. It won't be available till after the May 21st meeting. But in here we'll have information, facts, and then we will, with our consultants' help, we will continually update frequently asked questions. So if you guys are getting questions, send them to us and we will put those on the site so people will be able to find out the answers to those questions. As soon as we get them, we'll get them updated.
I love this.
We'll also work with our partners to help us get the information out to the public. And of course, social media, right? Everybody's pretty familiar with social media. This is kind of a sample post of what we may post. You can see there's a QR code down at the bottom, but these Facebook posts will also link directly to the FACTS website. So we'll have links there. See it on there. You can scan it. Council can take a screenshot of that, show that QR code on your phone to somebody. They can scan it. So it's just a lot of ways to get information out. We'll be available at all the events. This QR code and website information will also be available in all of our Parks and Rec facilities. We'll also be linked to the city's website, the Parks and Rec website. Hopefully we can cover all the places people are looking for. And at very least, if you don't like the computer, give us a call at the department and we will make sure we give you the information that you're looking for. Again, facts. It's all we're interested in providing our residents is what are the facts in order to make an informed decision on how you will vote on the bond. So, that's it in a nutshell. I am available to answer any questions if you have them tonight. I also have some of the team behind me. If I can't answer, I'll ask them to come up and help me out.
Okay, there's a lot to unpack. I know we're still looking at things from the 10,000-foot view because there are a lot of things that you can't necessarily spend a lot of time and resources on until you have the commitment to do so. But that we saw the concepts. Certainly, it's amazing to me. We have 5,000 people who participate in field sports in this city, and it's twice as much as the second closest city in Volusia County. So our parks are valued by our citizens here, and I've always said, I don't care whether you're age 8 or age 80, I want something for you to have something to do in Port Orange, and this is part of that. I appreciate the hard work staff has put into that, but it's so much more than that. Our Parks Board, a lot of these projects and the things that you're talking about are things that they've worked on and been pitching and pushing for years. And now we're here at a precipice and we have a chance to make it happen. I appreciate that. I guess I kind of jumped the line here a little bit, but that was me trying to frame the issue. Scott, what do you think? Questions right now?
Sure. Susan, can you touch a little bit more on ultimately how does this get paid for? How does the bond get paid off? What's the longevity of something like that look like? I know there's going to be the calculator. I appreciate you showing it. I kind of went fast on that, honestly, but can you just break down a little bit more on how that process?
So I'm sure the people, my team behind me is probably laughing right now. So I can give you the high level. It's a.
You can delegate that explanation.
I will ask our finance director to come up and explain a little bit more on how that's done. But basically, it's paid over 30 years. We don't borrow all the money up front. We borrow it as we need it in order to start the projects. As you can see, with the magnitude of projects like that, it's going to take a few years to get it going, and there's going to be some design work. So it's going to be assessed based on that. And John?
And the calculator, isn't it, that number is assuming all 30 million's borrowed too, so that's the maximum you would pay. So if we start off with 5 or 6, you start lower and it will grow as we borrow the money over time.
And we're also paying it back over time as
Correct.
well. Yep.
And it's similar to what we have with the public safety bond right now. We're closing in on paying off the 2 fire stations and police station that were done similar.
So, evening, Mayor, Council. So Susan said exactly right. So based on whether or not this, if it passes, then I would take the taxable value based on that time period against the assessed taxable value and the millage that would be required to pay the principal and interest for that year. That would be recalculated annually based on that year's taxable value of all properties within Port Orange. So it would start here, and over time it would go down. I did one recently a few years ago, and I can tell you it started here and it's half of what it was not 5 years ago. So I do anticipate with the increase of taxable value, which averages 7.8% here within Port Orange, that it would go down over time to the individual property owner.
We factor in other things too. We're talking about the taxable value, not the assessed value, because a lot of us have homestead exemptions in place that lower what we're having to pay to get to that taxable value. So so you say you have a $400,000 house, but you have X amount of exemptions over the years as they accumulate. You might only be a taxable value might only be $150,000. So when you're using that calculator, you got to kind of factor that into play.
And we do have the highest homestead within the Volusia County at roughly 65%. So at minimum, the average person then here in Port Orange has $50,000 of exemptions that would be applicable to your millage on this.
Okay.
Don't leave, John. I got a question.
Go ahead.
So the question I would have is dealing with the fire and police bond that we did with buildings, and that's fixing to come up to maturity and be paid off. If we went to the 30 years, 30 million on the bond, my question is we got one that's fixing to be paid off, and we already got that millage rate set there for that bond. Is it close to being a wash?
I'd have to get back with you on that because I don't have in front of me the when that bond is paid off.
That was what, 2007, so it's like 17 years.
Yes, sir. So it should be around 30, well, probably either 32 or at 25 years, or 37 if it's the full 30.
Okay. My questions are also financial, but I don't want to jump out of turn here, so.
And you got any more for John?
I do.
No,
but
I was going to say, I was
yeah.
asking Tracy if you had any more for
do.
John. Okay, Reed, let her
All right,
rip.
So I think that the question I'm going to get asked a lot that I want to make sure I understand fully is the recalculation of it annually, right? Because you've already said, you're right, it's when, where, how, why, what, we're talking about how much. So it's a 30-year bond. If it's passed, then that's the cap, that's the most we can take out. Would it all come out at once? Would all the project be moved at one time? What I'm trying to figure out is, like, year one may be this much, year two may be more because you draw more money the second year out. Like, I'm trying to understand how that works so that way I can understand, like, that. So we're showing them with the website the maximum, right? That is, if we took all $30 million out and this is what you paid in property taxes and this is your taxable value, this is the most you can pay? Is that what that
That's
calculator is
correct.
going to show?
That's
So
the
it may
maximum.
be less, but it will never be more.
And we're not going to go borrow $30 million the first day after we're eligible if it passes.
Yeah.
You have to. We will build the because you don't want to be paying the interest on that debt.
Correct.
So you're going to. You will. Some of the projects will come sooner than others. So some of the parks we already own the land. You can get out there and do a soccer field a little bit quicker than you can. We got to do some neighborhood meetings on some. The bigger ball fields require roads and water and sewer to get to. So they will space themselves out over time. So you won't be borrowing it all at once. And as John said, as you start borrowing more of it, we also have more taxable property value that should help offset it a little bit too as it goes up. So we see development down at Pioneer Trail and Williamson, that may help offset the cost as we start borrowing that money going forward. So it will vary over time, but we wouldn't go out and borrow it all right away, because you don't want to be paying the interest for 10 years while you're planning and designing and getting everything ready.
Well, and to that point, it's extremely like 0.001% chance the property values were to go down. It could cost a little bit more, but in reality, that's what I'm trying to make sure is, and I guess this is the question from the top, is just whatever number people are getting from the website for their taxable value, that can be a generally expected maximum that they would pay towards this bond.
That's
correct.
all
I'm trying to make sure, and that's a simple way to ask the question.
When it passes, if I would immediately come within a couple council meetings, do the reimbursement resolution, and I'm looking then to potentially issue any bonded debt with your approval, of course, probably in the first quarter of 25, which is based off of what your financial advisor, Toby Wagner, has suggested of when we will see a decline of interest rates. From when I started to today, it's already decreased over 50 basis points, and we're anticipating another 75 basis points by March of next year. So that's what has allowed us to potentially issue more debt for the same amount of cost as the original amount discussed.
In other words, making our dollars go farther.
Exactly. Well, you're talking about a major number. People are seeing that with their houses that they're shopping for, right? You know, purchasing power was eroded because of interest rates. Same thing here. Now as interest rates go down, our purchasing power goes up. So it makes sense to me. I just want to make sure that residents who do go on the website or make the phone call can feel good about feeling like, hey, the city is giving me as much information as possible, and they're giving me the worst case scenario, right? And that they're not going to be surprised and see it go up past that number in year 2. You know what I mean?
And like GAI, who helped, on the formula for calculating the amount, I can always work with anyone up here if they'd like to see a projection in a few years.
Cool. I'm good now.
You good? Drew, you got any questions for John?
No, I'm kind of getting the finance part. I just am curious as to the rankings of the projects and how we're going to decide what we attack first, or.
Yeah, so that's a really good question. So Wayne kind of alluded to it a little bit.
Yeah.
So there's some property that we own that we can move on immediately.
Okay.
There's some property that we're going to want to include neighborhood meetings and workshops on to meet with them. There are some properties that we need to do some things with in order to set it up, like Wayne spoke about, roads and utilities and infrastructure things, because it's in real raw land.
Okay.
So, we're going to pace those out and see where we're at. But we will, if it gets approved, which we do hope it does get approved, we will then come up with a plan, and we'll be able to provide that plan to the council on how we're seeing that go. We also plan on posting the sites that these projects will happen in to let people know this is your bond project coming soon, and we will, try and make sure we have the information out there to our community and to our neighbors.
Yeah, so basically kind of the easier slice of the pie to get it going, and then you'll have time to work out all the infrastructure stuff and everything before we borrow for the next major project or something. Okay.
And our goal is to try and get it built as quickly as possible.
Sure.
So that we would look at that timeline.
Okay, great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, don't go far. Let's hear from the public here.
I'm not done. I wasn't
Oh,
done.
you already took a bite.
Yeah.
You gonna take a second bite?
I got 26 questions, only got to 25.
Well, you should have gone through when you had a turn, man.
So through the
See how
course,
you are? I tried to get you off the hook.
thank you. Through the course of the process, does the bond initiative itself, if it's approved, prohibit us from pursuing other grants and other forms of funding that can be utilized for these projects, and not have to take as much debt to get the projects?
Yeah, that's a really great question. We do plan on, just like all Parks and Rec projects in the city, we do plan on using the bond to be match money to Volusia Echo, if we have an opportunity for Find, any of those types of grants that are matching, we would still go after just like we would today.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
That was
Again,
a-
making that money go further.
That was a question I had a resident pose to me
Yeah.
a couple of weeks ago, because the one thing that we have seen and I know that you have seen over the years, is you never know what's going on in Tallahassee and where the priorities are. And right now, there aren't a lot of dollars up in Tallahassee for this kind of stuff, but in past years there have been. And so I know our city staff has been very aggressive and proactive at going after those types of dollars. And I just want to make sure that everybody knows that is something that will always stay as a priority in the forefront of our city team, that we will always look for that. And so the debt that we decide to take during this bond, which will be a good debt, and it's a great investment in the community, but we will only take where we need that, and that if we can supplement and offset that with other forms of funding and grants and things out of Tallahassee or wherever they can come from, ECHO, like you talked about, that's something we can pursue.
Yep.
Go ahead.
That's it.
Mayor, what do you got?
You already went through your 25 questions?
Yes.
Okay. With that, why don't we hear from the public? Any comments from anybody here, anybody other than John? Anybody? This is somebody that has served on our Parks and Rec board for a long, long time and knows an awful lot about this.
Thanks.
Hey, John.
It's good to be here, and thanks for allowing me to speak. It's been a long time coming, and that's the point really of what I'm about to say, that I think it's taken way too long to get here. I think the city has to do a better job of identifying these things and being much more proactive. And the fact that we are here asking the citizens to pay more tax to float this and get these projects done, I don't think is the best solution. We should identify these things more upfront. We should listen more to what the rec board is saying, what our staff is saying about the needs of the city, and try to stay ahead. And right now we're behind. We've needed a rec center on the west side, down south, for a decade. And we've met with you gentlemen and ladies at one point, and you've sat at the table with us and said it was a priority to get it done. And it went by the wayside. We've been talking about Karachi and buying land for over a decade. Is anyone talking to them?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's about time. That's all I can say. Because it's gone by the wayside for a long time. And there's a lot of speculation about whether they even want to sell us the land. Maybe they do now, since we've expressed interest and we're going after money. But I think it could have been done incrementally and a more timely basis, so we could have met the needs and further needs of the citizens. So I just urge you to listen to us a little bit more and listen to the staff and try and stay a little bit ahead. And we were by and large very much ahead, according to the planners, who told us too that we were ahead and we were fine with fields and things, and we were meeting the needs of the citizens. But we just got caught up by a lot of people moving in, and we got behind. But still, we've needed more on the west, we need more on Ridgewood. So I'm glad to see that project at White is going to happen. I hope it does. Karachi and also the center. We've seen the tremendous success of the rec, which in my opinion was 5 years too late. So please do more study, think about it more. Let's do more planning. Let's talk to more people about the needs. Let's put that out there. Let's challenge our PIO to put that out there and solicit opinion about what people think, and listen to it and act on it. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
Appreciate it. Anyone else? Okay, back to council. Comments, questions?
I got one more question.
Go ahead.
Finance-wise. So obviously it's a bond. It's not revolving, so you can't pay some back and borrow more. My question is, what's the furthest out you could still draw that money up to the 30 million? I mean, you could be in year 28 and then decide to finally go pull like the last 3 million for a project that's in this, or?
What's our draw period?
Yeah, draw period. Thank you. That was the phrase I was trying to remember.
It would go for as long as the ballot initiative would allow. I don't think it's, has any defined date, but I would say that we don't want to issue debt and have it sitting in escrow for too long, because depending on interest rates, we also don't want to get into arbitrage. So you know, that becomes,
You can't do that to your taxpayers
Yeah.
waiting 30
Mhm.
years on a
No.
bond. You
Yeah,
need to spend it
so-
way faster than,
yeah,
if
so-
they want you to do it, you gotta spend it faster
yeah,
than that.
within 5 to 10 years max typically is what I've seen in other GO obligations.
Thank you.
Just one other thing on that. There's been a lot of conversation about the finance part of it, which is important because it is, but don't ever lose sight of educating yourself on what you get for the money. You know, the focus needs to be on the value to the community and educating on what the results will be to the quality of life in the community. Because I know if we talk too much about the dollars, you forget what you get for the dollars. So the website, when it goes up, and the information will link you to information on what you get for it, because you never want to ask somebody just to give you money. You want money for something. People will pay for value when they see that it's a value to them and their families. And our point is to provide information on it so they can decide for themselves whether or not it's a value to them. So we're trying to make sure that there is at least enough information there. Is this worth the price for what I believe I'm going to get? That what I'm going to get is an important part of making that decision.
Well, and I think that, you know, staff's done a good job of hand selecting projects that benefit all regions of the city. You know, you're talking about, you have Airport Road, right? And you're talking, putting up another rec center. Then you're talking about Karasi, which obviously 5,000 people in sports, so 100%, you know, we need to have more fields to accommodate those needs. And then you also consider, you know, that's property acquisition. You talk about White Place, which is over there. That's where I played baseball. I played T-ball at White Place. All right, that's how long it's been. You know,
You're not that old.
I am
Was
that
that like
old.
a month ago, or
I was
what?
a man. Used to love. I think that fence was 150 yards. We all hit home runs. It was great. 150 feet. Everybody was an all-star player. We were going. Every one of us were going straight to the Atlanta Braves. But no, like I think that, you know, the where within this is really done well. I'm not trying to get into too much of the nickels and dimes, but also that's going to be the questions that we probably get asked the most, and that's what people want to know. You know, you see it every presidential election. People vote their wallets, and this is the same thing. You're asking people to vote their wallets, and I just want to make sure that we're arming ourselves in advance to answer the tough questions. So.
Anybody else? Wayne, I know that you've been here almost 3 years now, and you and I talked about this when you first got hired, and I know the process of getting. Staff has been working on the bonding process for over about a year and a half, 2 years, getting everything prioritized. It's a slow, painstaking process, and of course the economy's got to be right. People have got to see the need for it, and I think they've, as alluded to earlier, that the need has existed for a long time, and I appreciate the hard work. But now it's time to make the rubber hit the road, and at the end of the day, the people of the city will make a decision as to what we want out of our community, and we'll be able to say that definitively at the ballot box, and we will be able to respond accordingly. And I think that August 20th will be a good day, one way or the other, for the city, because we'll know. We will know. We'll have our answer. With that, any other comments on first reading of ordinance number 2024-07? Call the roll.
Councilman Foley?
Yes.
Councilman Grubbs?
Yes.
Councilman Bastian?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stiltner?
Yes.
Mayor Burnett?
Yes, 5-0. Additional items, city attorney report?
Nothing further than that.
Excellent report. City manager report?
I do want to thank the fire department and Chief Wolfing. They had us out last week to the burn center at the training facility in Public Works Yard, and they're going to try to set up something if the council members are interested in seeing this, so that you can go out and witness this. But it's a great way to train to keep our people safe, to keep our property safe, to keep our firefighters safe. They can take you through that better than I can, but the ability to learn to train to fight fires off of a gas fire versus just burning pallets, and what it can do with a variety of different ways to learn. In addition to the fact that we did this, they saved us money. There's some pretty talented guys out there that are capable of building things, and so in certain areas they got donations, they built things themselves. We've got a confined space training facility out there. They've done quite a bit, and they've saved the taxpayers some money by doing some of this in-house with their own creative talent. It's worth seeing. I do think, as they explained to me, the difference in putting out a wooden pallet as you're trying to train a new firefighter compared to being able to be in a kitchen scenario with a gas fire where they can help up and down based on how well you're doing your job, and you can stop and talk to them. It's worth seeing, and I think it makes a difference to us in the long run. So I appreciated them having us out there to do that. They also have the tower you can rappel off of. So if any of you want to risk your health, feel free to try to do that. I chose to watch myself, but we'll set that up, and Mimi from our office will be contacting you about times to do that.
Could we, Wayne, could we possibly do it in August when it's really nice and toasty warm with all the
Pretty
beer
warm in
on
that
and
room
everything?
in the wintertime.
Okay.
Bring some marshmallows.
Yeah.
All right. Is that all you have?
That is, yes.
Excellent. City Council Committee reports over to CTPO. Councilman Foley.
Just a small thing that we've hit a bump in the road in the office relocation for the TPO. Because it is a federally funded organization, there are certain requirements in leases that they're having a hard time getting the potential to agree to. So we'll see.
Federal bureaucracy at its finest.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we'll see how that moves along. They're meeting with attorneys, and I guess they're going to get all the people in the room now to see if they can figure it out. But that's the only thing to report. Otherwise, it's pretty business as usual over there.
All right. Anything else come before us this evening? With that, we'll be back here again in 2 weeks. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you very much.